Richards trying to scoot in there alone. It pinballs to the crease. Score!
Let's get it.
Oh my God! Here we go.
You're listening to the PSB Bullies Podcast with your hosts, Derek.
How you gonna get it, Bobby?
John. Matt Casey.
Unnecessary, but totally necessary.
And Cody.
What's not to love?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Pod Street Bullies. My name's Derek.
And I'm John. What's going on, everybody?
And we got a full cast today. Both Matt Casey first. What's up, man?
Good evening. How we doing?
Good. And Hoagie.
What's
How's Dad
going on,
doing,
everybody? What's up?
Oh, you bring the energy.
It's all downhill from here.
Dad energy.
I'm excited.
Certainly all downhill. Yeah, all downhill
I
for us.
noticed you've
all
added
downhill
the
for Flyers.
And Hoagie's added the gritty mask to go with the gritty flag.
If there ever was a sign that his wife left him, it's that.
Is that her?
She
Is there
took
fetish
a
you wanna
gritty
talk to us about?
backpack and
Like,
left.
What?
it's the only one I can find. All right. No. Well, anyways, so we got a bad start to talk about. We got a bad goalie to talk about. We've got bad shooting percentages to talk about, and just all around bad guys. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a very.
I'm gonna rack my
episode.
brain for something positive. I'm gonna rack it for something positive, but I haven't gotten there yet.
My brain's
It's
a
only
little too
45-minute
rusty.
show, so. It is only 45 minutes, so you got 45 minutes to think about it. Let's kind of start with an overall view of this team right now. Starting the year, 5 games in, Flyers are 1-3-1, 3 points out of a possible 10, which is not good. There are worse teams like Nashville. You know, who'd have thunk that? Certainly better teams. Where are we at, guys? I'll start with you, John, in terms of your thoughts about this team and the start they've had so far.
I mean, listen, it's 5 games, right? So I'm trying not to panic. I'm not nowhere near panicking, but it really has been a bit discouraging. I remember finally being excited to sit down and watch a game on Saturday night and wanting to go to sleep at like 8:15 just because of how terrible they were playing. You know, I think that last year really set me up for being enthusiastic about this year, and their play has not met my enthusiasm by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm not panicking, but it's been disappointing. I just don't see the same team or energy or fight that they had last year.
Right. I'm going to go to you next, Hoagie, because I want Casey to have enough time to think about something positive here if he can. So Hoagie, what are your thoughts so far on the 1-3-1 start?
I'm not hitting panic. Excuse me. I think we just got screwed by the West Coast trip starting right off the bat, back-to-backs, and then having to come back to Philadelphia. I think that's just a rough start to the season, especially with a week and a half off from a preseason game with the entire squad all together. I think this week again is going to be rough for us going forward. We have 2 back-to-backs again. I don't know. Whoever started this schedule for us is not kind. I mean, I've liked our energy throughout the first probably the first 3 games. Definitely liked our energy. The Seattle and the second Vancouver game was pretty brutal to watch. I didn't even watch the Seattle game, but I just remember seeing the notifications on the phone like Seattle scored. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I mean, not hitting panic. I think, we just have to get into the groove of things and get a normal schedule going and normal lines and everything. I think we'll be on the right track.
Okay. All right, Casey, anything positive?
2 positives. One is I literally have not been able to watch more than a period and a half of this team. Either it's been just way too late or Saturday night, which it sounds like was a good move. I was on a Cub Scout camp out with my kids and slept a whopping 0%. And still, it was probably better than watching the Flyers.
How much did you drink?
Hey, no comments. We don't.
All right.
On the Cub Scout wilderness retreats. I would say the only other positive, kind of being a little bit more serious, is it's only 5 games in. And to everybody else's point, I don't want to hit the panic button, but the fact remains is right now we're on a 4-game losing streak because the first game was the game we won.
Right.
And so you just haven't really seen any improvements, I would argue. And schedule, I hear you. That's why I'm not panicked yet. It's not like we're on a 7-game homestand. And so I think the next week and a half is going to be really kind of, okay, what is this team going to be? Is it going to be a fighter, or are we like, I just keep on summing it up with the Ben Affleck smoking meme, they're like, I can't do it, guys. I can't do another season in the dumpster where everyone's
10-game losing streak
I've ever related to more than that one. Like, there's no meme out there I've ever related to more than that meme. And I'm not even just talking about hockey. Like, just life.
Just life.
No, I see your point, Matt Casey. I think there's no use in hitting the panic button 5 games into the season because a lot of us thought like, okay, we're going to be a bubble playoff team. We might even be a 3rd Metro spot. I think that what people forgot is the uncertainty in net. And I think that has been the crux of our issues at this point, which again, we can get into a little more in depth here, but just generally speaking, this start hasn't had me too concerned. It's showing glimpses, though, of things that will concern me if they continue, obviously. However, again, a lot of stuff that we're going to get into. We'll get into the specifics here. But let's talk about one thing, I guess, your biggest concern. And we'll go reverse order again here. So I'm going to throw it back to you, Casey. Your biggest concern with this team right now moving forward. What's that?
Ivan Fedotov.
Fedotov.
Delco Fedotov.
Ivan Fedotov.
I'm
Fedotov. He's a terrible goalie.
From the sound of it, this guy can't save a damn beach ball. Like all 7'2", like he's like Chewbacca in net with no coordination.
He's got a big 5-hole, and then
apparently, I don't. Mark that one down for the title.
You just brought up a good point about that, like his playing style. Like he's so tall, he sees over everybody, so he's late to get down and crouch when like you should be looking for the angles down there. So like he could continue, but good.
He should be playing from his knees.
By Mercedes.
Yeah,
right.
2 of the goals that I must have been the Seattle game. Is that the one where he played and let in a couple 5 goals? I was just like, awful. Good Lord, man.
From like half ice.
And when you have a guy, and I respect the guys, he does this for a living. When you have a guy like Bill Meltzer being like, yeah, he's not very good. Like that's the really
guy who's been
Mr.
Morgan Frost's tires for years.
You got to give me one. You got to narrow it down. It's one concern. It's the backup goalie situation. I don't think Urson's been bad, but Fedotov is not pulling his Chewbacca weight for me.
He's got a 6.06 goals against average with an 818 save percentage. That's
Brizgala.
That is below pedestrian. That is bad. That is horrendous.
Bad.
Who's our pedestrian call up? We can bring in
Kolosov. It's gonna happen soon.
Really quick before we go any further, I just want to swan dive a little bit. You know how like Russian media is known for kind of like distorting the news? What if
they're the most honest nation out there when it comes to news?
What if the KHL completely fabricated his stats?
Definitely.
And he was actually a terrible goaltender the entire time.
I blame the hockey news.
Who's over there laughing right now?
And they just got us.
Danny Blair, idiot.
In Russia, goal is score on you.
Oh, you want Mitchkov? You get fitted on.
You can have Michka, but have fun with Fedotov.
Fedotov.
Very interesting conspiracy theory. We'll see if it holds weight here.
Right.
Hoagie, your biggest concern, if it's not goalies, it's what?
I mean, we're all talking about goalies, but I think it's defense. I feel like we're really missing Sealer. I don't really know what he brings to the lineup, but he brings that oomph to the lineup that I guess we're missing. I don't know.
Coming back.
He's coming back. He's in the lineup, but like,
Is
his
he?
defense is just.
Is he actually coming back?
Next
tomorrow?
They sent Andre down today. They sent Andre down to Lehigh Valley.
Oh, our favorite
And I think
reporter
Sealer's
said
going to be in the lineup here for tomorrow.
Hearing Nick Sealer and in the lineup.
Flyers Twitter came out and said that they sent Andre down, so that's a sign of probably Sealer coming
Yeah, I
back.
don't know. Is
who
it?
else.
I feel like that's a sign of like, hey, we're off the road now, and
Right.
we don't need an
you.
emergency guy
Right.
9 hours away.
Yeah.
Could
True.
be.
Not
I
wrong.
mean, but if they needed somebody else, you're just going to bring the guy back up. What's the point of sending him down in the first place? You know what
So
I
you
mean?
can play a little like
Because they're only playing in
Aside from,
Washington Washington and Philly the next 2 nights.
Yeah, you could get him there. You
Yeah.
can get him
I wouldn't
great.
want to drive that.
Getting your Camry and get your ass down to DC right now, Andre.
I don't want to. So defense, you're worried about the defense. What? I guess I don't know. Like I might. I'm not gonna say I
feel like
disagree. Like sure, everything's a concern.
The pairings are
but
the pairings are just all over the
defense
place.
has been abysmal.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
You think that
you can blame it on
Go
the goalies all you want, but I mean it's also the defense in front of them. There have been some pretty bad what's the term?
Miscues.
Miscues, misreads, not covering their man like the
Coverage?
miscoverage. There you go. Woo. Yeah,
They can't
but
exit the D zone to save their life either.
they can't make a breakout pass. It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal to watch.
Who'd have thunk freaking Steeler and Johnny Walker were like the ultimate pairing in all of the NHL.
I mean, seriously, all hell's broken loose.
Right.
Since last March.
Yeah.
It's been
Seriously, ever since you got traded. Thanks for that first round, Colorado.
all right, John.
Well,
Your biggest
I'm-
concern outside of defense and goalies.
right. I mean,
where
like,
else are you gonna go?
so
The offense.
Jay Tortorella.
I don't think this is as big a concern that to me is the goalie situation, but I do think Sean Couturier and what the hell we're doing with this guy is a big concern. I mean, he's our team captain. He's on contract for quite some time, and it seems like our coach has zero faith in him. I mean, the guy ends up playing on the fourth line, playing left wing in the last game. Has he ever played a position other than center for the Flyers?
No. Not with
You know,
regularity.
String like defenseman.
It seems like to me, like I know some of this is earned, right? But at the same time, it seems like every year Tortorella picks a guy that he's just going to bury down the depth chart because he's not pleased with their play. And I'm really concerned that it's Sean Couturier just because of the amount that we've invested in this guy, and he's our freaking captain.
He's not our captain.
I mean, I'm
I don't
cool
know.
that if it gets him off Morgan Frost.
Yeah, but so like let's go through the two scenarios with that though. There's one school of thought which is he wore down way too quickly last year after February. We need to limit his time and you know all that sort of stuff. That's one school of thought. The other school of thought is I think yours, which is like, okay, who's the pledge captain going to be? And like that's what he's just getting his ass kicked and doing elbow caps or whatever the hell we used to have to do. So I don't know. I don't know one way or the other, but I agree with you, man. That's concerning. Because like this team, like this needs everybody to fire on almost all cylinders for us to even be competitive.
Right.
If you're bearing that guy as a fourth line winger in place of what Hathaway, like is that what was going on or Paling? Like It's not. That's not good.
And Casey, the thing is too, is it's like I wish I could buy the whole like we're resting him so he doesn't wait. But fourth line winger.
Yeah, I mean we're still resting
5
Ellis.
games into the season.
Right, still resting Ellis.
Maybe I'm naive. Who needs quote unquote load management 5 games into the damn season? Like that to me, there's something else. It's aside from that. You want to talk rest, whatever. I don't believe that crap. There's something else going on there.
Load management.
Mine, load management. My negative
practicing that.
the thing I think I'm most concerned about, the Flyers right now are shooting at a 7.9% clip, and that is good for 28th in the league. And a huge proponent of that is Owen Tippett, who is not doing well. I can tell you right now that Morgan Frost. Let's see here. I'm trying to look it up.
Tippett's worse. Just read Doe and Tippett.
No, they're right next to each other.
No, they're not.
Lowest goals above
I don't know.
expected.
I mean,
Tippett negative 1.8, Morgan Frost negative 1.7.
Derek, are you doing arithmetic over there? What's going on?
He's got his abacus.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are we talking about here, Hoagie? Come on. Shot percentage for Tippett is 0 because he has no goals on the season. But he 17 shots, nothing. He's almost got as many hits as he's got shots, though. That's
but it's something like he's got like 81 shot attempts or something crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, it's probably
they're
not
all
81.
missing the net.
Right. They're all missing the net.
Well,
They're getting blocked.
Right. I mean, he very well could have 80 something shot attempts at this point. He had like 14 or something of them, like 17 the other night. And I think they said 3 of them hit the net, what counted as a shot. I'm not even going to say hit the net. The goalie could have just reached out and snagged it. But that to me is concerning when you're hitting the post doesn't count as a shot attempt as well.
He's supposed to score 40 goals this year. Doesn't he know that?
He's supposed to be our prolific goal scorer, and he's got nothing to show for it, not even in the way of shot attempts.
Carter light.
It's bad. It's Jeff Carter levels bad right now. And I mean, we to an extent kind of dealt with this a couple years ago with Lindblom, where he was getting great opportunities and just was snake bitten, couldn't get a goal, couldn't buy a goal. But then floodgates opened and he started just racking them up. So, I mean, is this a case? I will pose this as a question. We'll go to John first. Is this a case of just one's got to fall and then everything else is coming?
Can I step in?
No.
Because I feel like
go in order, Hoagie.
No, because I feel like comparing Owen Tippett Oscar Lindblom is just
I'm comparing situations. I'm not comparing the player. I'm comparing situations.
How about we compare it to last year with Tyson Forster, who was snake bitten through 10, 15, 20 games, and then just ended up with 20 something?
Okay, compare support. I don't care.
Can we actually just compare it to last year's beginning of the season for Owen freaking Tippett? Because it happened the same thing with him last year. Don't you remember he could? I mean,
different player. Who's that?
I mean, last year, right? Wasn't it the same problem where this guy just could not seem to buy a goal? It was like no matter how much he shot, it just was all over the place, and then he finally started to find it. So I have faith that it's eventually going to work. But right now, this guy looks like he's never been a goal scorer a day in his life. It's crazy the amount that he is shooting the puck and they're not registering his shots. Like, forget the goal part. The fact that they're just, not even registered as shots is insane to me. And I just think that it shows a bigger problem here, because I think that we all agreed that he was maybe with Tyson Forster coming up next was kind of like the goal scorer for this team. And now I'm just so worried that we've got this Matvei Michkov who thinks the game and plays the game at a level that no one else seems to be able to handle on this team now.
That's absolutely the problem. Where
right.
Michkov's IQ compared to Tippett's, he doesn't even have a hockey IQ. His hockey sense, he just doesn't touch Michkov. I think today's
he's the Hoagie of the Flyers.
Pretty much, yeah. I think today's lines in practice wasn't it Paling, Michkov, and Tippett
Oh, come on.
I think so. Yeah.
And like people are like, I understand like what you're doing there, but like that just you're forcing something there.
I don't know if I understand what we're
doing.
They're
forcing something there. Like they need to brutal.
I mean, part of me gets it where all right, you need to find those line combinations. And I think that's back to what concerns me. That's another thing. It's like, all right, it's been 5 games plus another 2 weeks of actual practice with the core team. And you still have you arguably have no chemistry with
no consistency whatsoever.
With the exception of the power play, which I'll give props to the power play. Like, okay. There's
some
in the
league
there.
12th in the league.
But it's just not translating to the 5-on-5 game, which from what I've heard, we've had a ton of penalties and a ton of power plays. So maybe 5-on-5 isn't as important, but it's gonna be. Like the stats show that you play most of the game 5-on-5. Right. And so if the chemistry is getting messed up and all of a sudden we're going back to the days of putting Palin, which again, I think he's a good player, but he's a third line player at best, at the very best. If we're going back to Zach McEwen on a power play scenario, I'm really concerned. But I don't know. I think back to your Mitchkov thinks the game too much. I don't know, man. I don't know if I buy that's why Owen Tippett isn't scoring. Or
I wasn't trying to say like just Owen Tippett. I was more of saying that it just seems like Owen Tippett's his own problem. But I just like when you're watching these games and how like Mitchkov seems to be feeding these guys these pucks and they just can't hit the freaking open net. It's crazy to me.
The thing is,
it's frustrating as all hell.
Tippett is just like a step or two behind Mitchkov. Mitchkov sees the game so much faster and so much more in the future that by the time Tippett gets the puck, he's surprised he even has the puck on his stick.
He's looking at so much in the future. The skates don't even touch the ice anymore.
Right, like
it's float.
Someone said this about me. It's like, oh, even a blind squirrel,
like the future, Casey.
Back to the Future 2? What are we talking about? I don't know, Doc.
That was great.
I mean, like, eventually this guy's got to find his groove, though. I mean, it's bound to happen. Like, how, hypothetically, like, how long do you think it's going to take before these start falling?
It's been 84 years.
It's been 84 years.
Wait, sorry. What's the question again? How long till what? Tippett starts scoring?
Tippett's, yep.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Hey,
tomorrow?
Should we bet? Should we do a little t-shirt wager here?
If I can find them. I tried looking in our storage. I have no idea where these things are.
We're talking about these. We're talking about these.
Oh, those t-shirts? Okay.
Those t-shirts. Yeah. Which we got
I'll put one of mine up against yours.
Contestants for our free giveaway on that one.
A hell of a lot of contestants for the last one for the Pod Street Bullies shirt. Christ.
Eric,
and I still got to get those out.
Flyers Pocono, his shirt.
What?
The message is still unread. Flyers Pocono gets a shirt.
Understand. I left it on red so I could reference the address. So I could send it to them once I find them. So if Flyers Pocono right now is listening, I'm sorry. We don't know where these shirts are. They're somewhere. It's been like 2 weeks. Not even 2 weeks. Yeah. The shirt's coming. I can promise you that.
I think Tippett's gonna look again. I don't want to freak out too much. I don't want to freak out too much, but I'm going to be very interested to see how they come out tomorrow night and Wednesday. And do we have another back-to-back this weekend? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's literally home and home with Washington, and then Saturday matinee with Minnesota
and Montreal.
And then a Sunday night game with Montreal. Suck it, Grant McKegg.
Wow, that's a lot. So this in my mind is a make or break week. If we don't get 5 of 8 points, I'm a little concerned.
I bet Tippett puts in 2 against Minnesota.
You think so? All right.
2 goals against Minnesota. Nothing leading up to, but Saturday afternoon.
I don't think you can afford to wait that long.
Yeah, right. I think
I'd rather be then than later.
For the Washington. The Washington series is big.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So we're talking about players not hitting the net. We're talking about lack of cohesion on the back end. We're talking about shoddy goaltending. At what point do you look at the sum of crap that we're in right now and you go, what's
Rocky
up,
Thompson?
Staff? What are we doing, coach and staff?
Rocky Thompson.
I mean,
think it's bigger than Rocky Thompson.
Casey, to be honest with you, I'm already kind of looking at the coaching staff, and it's mainly because of what you brought up, where it's like there's been no consistency to this lineup. I really like the fact that we're already throwing crap up against a wall and hoping that it sticks kind of concerns me. Mm-hmm. I know it was one game, but that Saturday night game against Vancouver, your home opener, there was no sense of the Flyers from last year, no fight, that never give up, grit.
No energy. Yeah,
there was none of that. And I just think that, like,
they got no jump from being in front of a home crowd, which is just unacceptable.
And it looked packed too.
Right. I look at it and excited. Go, John Tortorella, I love him as a coach, but it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it doesn't seem like it right now, and it's early, and I get that. But it's just like you put all the pieces together, and I'm ready to be like, if they end up, losing, what were you saying, 5 points out of the possible 8? Let's say they get 3. I'm ready to say, hey, should we start putting this guy on the hot seat?
Mm-hmm. That's a bold. I mean, I don't even know if I'm ready to go hot seat yet.
Yeah,
but
that's bold.
Yeah. Well,
hot take for the hot seat.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think it would be a move out. I think they would try to move him up.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just like, I'm just looking at the way things are going right now, and if we're continuing to lose, and it's more of the things that are going the way they are right now. And I mean, they fired Peter Laviolette 4 games into a year one time. Was it 4 games? 3 games?
Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah, and I think Bruby took over after that, yeah.
Who was it? Who did we fire and then John Stevens took over? Does anybody remember that? I'm talking like 07, 08, somewhere around there.
Wasn't it?
Well, didn't they fire someone and then Laviolette took over early too?
Maybe.
That was the year we made it to the final.
Yeah, I mean that may have been it. They may have fired Stevens and Laviolette.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's disappointing, but I just want to keep it in perspective that it's like, hey, we're 72 hours away from being all of a sudden, not a bad team.
Right.
If we end up winning 2 games, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. Never doubted it. Not for a second.
I always doubt it.
Right.
Always doubt it.
Fans, we're always
this season is going to be such a mixed bag. We could have a 5-game slide like this. We could also have a 5-game period where we go 4-1-0. Like, it's going to be a mixed bag of everything. And I'm just kind of ride it out. I'm not. Right. I'm trying to not really have any expectations so that I'm not let down. And then I can be excited when they surpass the ones that I do have, But coaching staff.
Is that Vince Vaughn from Wedding Crashers? He's like, I find if you don't have expectations, you don't not live up to them.
No, that's what his wife said to him when they started getting serious. I've decided I'm just not going to have expectations going into this. So
it's the best approach, honestly. Yeah. No expectations are the best expectations. So, but one of you guys probably said it. At some point, it's got to come down to the coaching. I mean, I've always been a big proponent of the players on the ice impact the product the most because they're the ones playing the game. However, I do understand your point, John. I do disagree, though, in regards to. And I'm losing my train of thought here. Son of a bitch. What was your big point? I made a note about it. I just didn't write it down. It was the mixing of the lines. Mix up the lines.
Right.
Jumbling the lines. So I disagree with that because we talked about it, I think, like an episode or 2 ago where it happens every year.
Yeah.
Like,
I still don't agree with
understand the concern. Well, no, I get that. But, like,
right.
We're 5 games in. Like, I don't expect the lineup to be 100% concrete, by 5 games. Like, by 10 games, okay, I'm a little concerned. If they're still jumbling lines the way that they are right now, yeah, that's concerning. But, like, there's moving parts here. Like, I mean, you've got new guys in, you've got chemistry that needs to be found, and they're probably, rightfully so, prioritizing finding the chemistry with a line revolving around Michkov. And that's a task, especially when it's like you saw some chemistry with Frost in the preseason, saw maybe a little bit with Tippett, but like now it's not working out. So okay, shift and plan. You got to figure out who else you can put on the opposite wing.
But wouldn't you argue that you can't create chemistry without a little bit of consistency? Now, I'm not saying that they had to walk in and go, these are our lines and we're not moving them for the next 10 games. I just think in terms of like how much you could be jumbling, we are going full throttle on the jumbling. And I think that
there's too much jumbling.
Right. So Derek, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I think that like you can't build chemistry with the way that we're operating right now.
But in the same breath, too, it is the coach's job to see the potential for chemistry. And I think a lot of that boils down to seeing the potential. So, like, if John Tortorella doesn't see the potential for any type of, chemistry between, let's say, Couturier and Michkov, which I don't think there's much. There could be, I don't know. Couturier is too busy playing fourth line left wing to find out. So, But
if he doesn't see the potential, then my guess is he's probably not putting him on a line to begin with, right?
Right. No, he's not. And then he's got to jumble him up again because, he didn't see it with this guy, didn't see it with that guy. So the Michkov plays top wing, then he plays second line wing. Like, there's so many moving parts right now, and it's going to take some time. But, like, there will come a point in time where it's unacceptable to have lines being jumbled up the way they're currently being jumbled up. I just don't know if me personally, I'm there yet in terms of concern.
A coach's job is to make the pieces fit, and how well they play after that. It still doesn't always equate to wins, but like that is their job, and that's what they're doing. I think I'm just disappointed that it wasn't, besides Michkov and Benny and the Jets, Lachenko, this is essentially the same personnel as we had last year. Right. And so it's like it's not like 8 new players, So I don't know. I think we're looking. Somebody said that. Michkov thinks the game too much. It's like, okay, so if we got rid of Michkov, does that slow everything down and then we play with here? No.
Well, dude, I had a scout.
Are you saying we should trade Michkov for 2 first-round picks? Yep.
Well, Casey, I had a scout recently ask me if we were even ready for Michkov.
What scout?
Shut the hell up. Shut your mouth. Shut up, Obi.
Go away.
I don't even know what that's from. That's the most outrageous comment.
I don't even know what to think. It's a reference to a tweet from, was it 2 years ago? Something about is this team ready for his prospect like Connor Bedard?
If Bedard even falls to him, are we ready for it?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Like, yes, we are 100% ready for an athlete of that caliber. And shut your mouth.
All right, so hold on. Can we switch gears for a second but stay with the line jumbling? At what point? I'm not saying I say do this. At what point do you split up York and Sanheim to try to balance out your defense? Because if the defense is that bad right now,
right?
Do you start fumbling around with that a little bit? And I get that.
I'm surprised they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, they're all about the offensive lines. Well, would you say, Casey, that at least wait, like if Sealer's returning, tomorrow, then wait and see if that helps kind of steady the ship?
Yep, I would. But it might be something.
7D, aren't they?
Oh God.
Like, Eric Johnson, bless his heart, but like, dude, just please go.
It's a 1,000 games thing. We're not sitting him until he plays his 1,000 games. It's Keith Yandel all over again.
That may have been the darkest moment in Flyers.
That was terrible.
I would like to see, and the only I don't know if you guys saw, my brain was on fire there for a second. You might have seen some smoke. Yeah, I would love to see if there's some chemistry between Drysdale and York. However, who plays with Sanheim at that point?
Big Risto.
I can't.
Risto's been hot garbage, though, man.
Why did I forget about Risto? That's honestly, historically, is the only person I could see playing with Risto.
And that's Zamula. Him and Zamula pairing
they don't work.
Yeah, it's not good.
Oh, no.
But they both played. I believe they both played USNTDP. They've got that type of, and they're friends off the ice, to my knowledge. I'd like to see if that might help Drysdale. Honestly, we know York's good. We know he's been probably our most consistent defenseman, maybe outside of Sealer, but on a little bit of a different level than Sealer. So maybe that helps elevate Drysdale's game. Now that's also 2 undersized defensemen that could be a liability on defense. But I think it's worth like a 2-3 game tryout. See how it goes.
I think at some point you got to start mixing it up a little bit if the chemistry doesn't start fitting. You can't just think about like the Sanheim-York pairing as the end-all be-all. Like if the other 4 defensemen are just floundering, like at some point you gotta adjust it a little bit. But John, you're right. They gotta wait and to see what they have. Assuming Sealer's coming back, it's like, all right, let's see if this balances out a little bit. And
right,
maybe
you're assuming Sealer Drysdale.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And
this hoagie's funny. So I don't know. I think it's something interesting to keep an eye on. But again, winning cures all of our woes. So 24 hours from now, we can be like, I shouldn't do it. Which you would never break up York and Sanheim, psychos.
I mean, I'm curious to see what we do in these next 4 games with all these back-to-backs. I feel like there's going to be a million different line combinations and just mix match gumbo thrown into a pot type of rosters.
Potatoes.
You think you assume that they have to start?
Yeah. What do you think about the goaltenders with these?
Well, they have to start Fedotov in Washington, because if he puts up another clunker, that poor guy's going to be booed out of the Wells Fargo Center. So.
You think they're starting him sitting on the bench instead of Urson just there as a reminder saying, I'm here now?
Urson will play in Philadelphia.
In Philly, yeah, that's a good call.
And then Fedotov will play in Washington the next night.
Okay, so we're Philly
and
first.
Minnesota and Montreal.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yep.
So Philly, who do you give the Minnesota-Montreal games to?
Well, you give one of them to Urson, the other one's going to go to Kolosov. No, I'm being serious.
Okay.
I'm being serious. Because Fedotov is going to have
goals.
Yeah, is going to have another crap game, and they're going to have no choice. Especially with like this Halloween deadline or something that Kolosov apparently has when he has to. That's what.
Do you think
Elliot
Urson's ever gone to John Tortorella and is like, "Listen, I'm sick and tired of playing 20 minutes a night on nights I'm supposed to have off. Like, I'm sick and tired of picking up the slack here."
It's like, I go back. Who was the goalie with Hart 2 years ago? Sandstrom. Like that guy could not get a win to save his friggin' life. Like he was just brutal. And I kind of
Fedotov makes him look like Shesterkin.
Right. So you think Fedotov has one more game in him? If he puts another clunker in, he's done. I do.
Just
if he lets up anything more than 5 goals, done.
Because there's Kolosov waiting in the wing.
5.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I honestly hope so.
There's added pressure because of that situation with Kolosov.
Isn't Tortorella's like, I want to give him like 20 games or something like that? And I'm like, I don't want to see.
I mean, that's fine, but Tortorella wants Luchenko, and he looks like he's on his way back to juniors. Like,
oh yeah, what's the Luchenko update?
He was 13th forward on at practice today, and that's indicative of him being a healthy scratch tomorrow.
And that's
not to say that
that's without Lawton on the ice too.
That's some tea leaves, you know. I'm not saying outright, oh, he's sending him back, but I don't know, man.
What if you think? What if they just place Cam York in Fedotov's 5-hole? Like that's where he just plays defense. He just stands between his legs. It just blocks the
inherently a penalty kill, which the Flyers are better on anyway. So why not, right?
Do you remember that 3v3 like game on NHL where you can get like monster guys and the mini guys? That's what that reminds me of.
Don't remember that one. Yeah. Wasn't on Atari, Casey. Sorry.
NHL, like it was called like ice hockey or Blades of Steel. Did you guys ever? Were you ever after that one? Blades of Steel.
Blades of Steel.
Yeah, that gray is really showing, Casey.
All right. Mid-40s are creeping up, boys. It's all right. You keep me young. John's like John may be like 34, but he acts like he's about 55. So.
I'm 35 turning 36. Okay.
There you go.
He's the reason this used to be an hour show, but now it's 45 minutes. His old man John's got to get you sleep here.
Wait, Hoagie, how old are you?
30.
Jesus.
You know what I wasn't doing at 30? Sitting around talking to a bunch of 40-year-olds.
With a Muppet
33.
behind me.
Like, I'm doing this because I have to. Like, I'm stuck in it. Actually, I guess we all are now.
Right, yeah, right.
Yeah, you guys contractually, you guys are. Yeah, sorry, we could buy you guys out. We still got 2.
You guys are
buyout
getting
slots
paid?
left, so. Yeah, speaking of our StreamYard renewals coming up, so budget's a little bit tight, guys. You're working for free tonight.
Fuck smoking weed.
So should we make some predictions before we go elsewhere about the week ahead?
Sure.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, we got
I
to do
do.
it. We forgot to do it last week. Didn't we?
1-3. 1-3.
Wow.
I have no faith.
1-3-0. You're going 1-3-0.
1-3-0.
Wow.
And that one game, it's got to be Montreal. If it's not Montreal, I'm going to be so upset. I'm starting to really hate that fan base. Those
Starting
twats.
to?
Oh, they're the worst.
Yeah.
Well,
It's gotten
yeah,
worse.
I really do. Yeah.
Demidov
Demidov or Demidov, whoever it is. He's so much better than Michikov. Like, shut up. Like, just shut your mouth.
All right, John. What's
Be
your
happy.
prediction?
Ryan
So- I think methinks they're going to win 2 games. I think they're going to win their first game against Washington,
Mhm.
but they're going to lose on the road against Washington. I think they're going to lose to Minnesota, but they'll beat Montreal. So I think I'm just going to go solid 2-2.
Okay. Hoagie, what do you got?
I'm going 2-0-2.
2-0-2. Okay. It's not bad. I would take that all day
That
long.
would be a great strategy.
Definitely getting one against Washington. I don't know if it's the home or away, and I just see another game against Washington going to an overtime loss or something like that, and that's how it crumbles.
That's how it crumbles.
I'm going 2-1-1. I think they come out hard tomorrow night.
Yeah,
Me too.
With what's up with the 6:00 start? By the way, what the hell?
because they're playing all 32 teams.
The Flyers are tomorrow?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
gauntlet.
Interesting.
Game starting 3 hours.
They play
6,
they
9,
play a
12,
period
3,
against
6,
one.
9, 12.
So
It's 5 minutes a team each period.
I think we
Tortorella
go.
requested it.
I think we split the cap series. We beat Minnesota because I think we've had their number the last couple of years. Like randomly, we've had their number, and I think we lose in a friggin' shootout, even though we're leading with 1 minute left in the third period to
Typical.
Montreal. Yeah,
Is that with Kolosov or with Erson in that?
I don't know, but if Primo's kid is still in goal for them, that kid kicks our ass every time.
Yeah, he does.
Pisses me off.
Yeah.
Judas.
I hope he's sick that night or something. I don't know.
Judas.
What are you doing over there?
Judas. All right, gentlemen. Anything else to add before we wrap this episode up here?
Tight 45.
Congratulations to Scott Lawton on the birth of his baby. Whenever it comes.
Oh, they did have their baby.
I don't know if they did, but I'm just preemptively.
I don't know. Maybe this baby's like the Messiah coming out, and they're like,
You think they're gonna name it Hoagie?
And then we start
I
winging.
hope so.
Winning.
Hoagie Lawton.
Matthew
Hoagie Lawton.
Hoagie Lawton.
Nah.
No, Hoagie Matthew Lawton.
Hoagie Lawton.
So maybe we'll be able to get him on the pod during his paternity leave. Does he get
I
that?
definitely think that's a possibility.
Listen, you have a 3-week deadline to get this done, Hoagie. And if it's not done by Monday, 3 weeks from now, you are officially no longer a member of this show.
Off the
Hoagie's
pod.
too busy sitting at his giant bag of shirts sobbing because he doesn't know what to do with them.
That's why I'm giving him 3 weeks, because it'll take him 3 weeks just to count how many he's got left.
I mean,
Funny.
What?
Hoagie's wife is tying him together like a rope to escape the house. like a prison break. Get me out of this guy. Get me out of here.
That's where I thought he was going
All right.
with it. The other,
That's what I thought he was going.
Oh, that's dark. Guys.
Oh, no. No. All right, John. Let everybody know where they're going to find us.
You can find this podcast on all your various podcast listening receptacles, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, Amazon Music, if Google Podcasts is a thing, YouTube. No, Google Podcasts isn't a thing.
That's not around anymore, is it?
Sure it is. Google's, you got to be able to look. If you just Google it, it's like Google Podcasts.
I will say, notice how John didn't put up a fight this week after hearing Casey do it the other week.
Yeah, because my
There's
territory
a
has
little
been
bit of budding
beat on.
competition here.
Yeah, John was like, I'm so cool. I don't even know it. Now he's like, oh, man, that was my thing.
And I have it written down. I've posted post-it notes.
Style.
Post-it notes right here says what they are.
Is that what you were doing with the pretzel rods earlier? Arranging them? I heard you with pretzel rods. I saw you.
Arranging the pretzel rods into the
Yeah, I can
different
see that.
podcast receptacles.
Yeah, it was pretty loud.
What in the world is happening? That's all I got, Derek.
But
Don't find this
I'm
show.
wrapping this up before it gets any
I
worse.
know.
Check out our affiliates too, gentlemen over at the 5 Minute Major Podcast, Dave and Mastro. They're on X at 5 Min Major Pod, and the affiliates over at Flyers High and Wide. Those fine gentlemen are on Twitter at Flyers HW. Till next week, folks. 4 games in between this show and the next. We'll see how it goes, and we'll talk about them next week. Have a great rest of your week.
Oh, premature by now. Bye now.
Bye now.
Bye now.
Arrange the pretzel.